Welcome to Muddy River News This Week, furnished by Harvey's. I'm Bob Goff. Tim Maiers is my guest today. He is the Executive Director of the Upper Mississippi, Illinois, and Missouri Rivers Association. It's a mouthful, but it's a big organization. Got a lot of stuff going on. Welcome.
Thank you. Yep, thanks for having me. And
you guys just wrapped up your annual meeting, and how was it? And what were the hot topics?
You bet. Yep, we had our annual meeting here in Quincy last week, and we had people from across the Midwest attendees that came in. About 125 people that were here. We had speakers really from across the country that were here, and our goal is to continue to improve flood protection here in the Upper Mississippi, Illinois River region, and always ongoing challenges there with that and all the regulatory issues that go along with that. So we were fortunate to have quite a few folks from the Army Corps of Engineers with us, both from Rock Island, St. Louis, and even from Washington, D.C., had folks from FEMA. We were, I guess, hot topic-wise, really just looking at it's amazing to think about. It's been 30 years since the flood of '93, and you think about what has really been changed or improved in flood protection since then, and we really haven't made a lot of progress. So I think that was kind of one of the topics was how can we continue to make improvements to our levee system. We did talk quite a bit. The Corn Belts is a region that now is a compass to kind of look at the navigation and getting the products up and down the Mississippi and Illinois River. Close to 100 million tons in the last year have gone up and down those rivers. So very important, obviously, for this part of the country and really the whole country as a whole. So ways to continue to improve navigation and flood control is really our
It really
focus.
seems like, though, every year, I mean, I've been covering news in this area for the last 30 years, we always talk about upgrading the locks and dams, and it just doesn't seem to get anywhere. Are we making any progress?
Yeah, we actually are. The infrastructure bill here passed a couple years ago included some money specifically for some locks and dam improvements. So we are seeing some progress with that. Some things are in the works of actually upgrading to the 1,200-foot locks. So yes, that's much overdue when you look at the infrastructure that we've got and the importance of that for our economy, especially in this region. We are making some progress there. We're saying, hey, we're making some focus on navigation, some investment in navigation. We got to make sure we're focusing and investing in flood control too, because without flood control, these investments we're making in navigation aren't going to be worthless. So we need to they need to go hand in hand.
And some of your partners there when it comes to flood control, of course, are the levee districts, the drainage districts. And I know Mike Reed just retired, and they've got a new fellow there in charge of the SNI. But he was talking about some of the challenges they were having this year with fuel costs and all the other things that had to be done just to keep things going. And even if you have a little bit of a dry year like we're experiencing, we're a couple of heavy rains away from something happening always, aren't we?
We are, and we had a speaker from the National Weather Service that spoke at the meeting, and he had some really interesting data looking at, you look at the Upper Mississippi region, and we are experiencing more frequent, heavier rainfalls. Now, right now we're not, we're in a dry spell, but if you look at it, we've seen that, we just when it does rain, it seems like we get a bunch of rain, and that does obviously lead to flooding. So we're dealing with more water than what we have in the past, and so that's part of the reason we're saying, hey, we're dealing with more water, we're having more flood frequencies. We need to upgrade or be able to at least maintain the level of what Congress and the Corps originally had said that our levee districts could have as far as their probability of level protection. We need to at least maintain that. Yeah, we'd like to improve that over time, but as a step, let's try to maintain what we've got from what was originally intended, and that's something we're working on as a federal piece of legislation that we're hoping to get in the Word of Bill Water Resources Development Act here that we're working on. So yeah, it's. The levee districts have a lot to deal with, just operating and maintaining what they got, in addition to kind of dealing with the regulations and all that. So we're there to try to kind of help them through that and be a resource for them as much as possible.
One of the exciting things that we have going on the river, of course, is the Quincy Bay Restoration Project. How's that coming along? Was that any of the topic of conversation over the week?
That's part of the kind of the NEST program, the improvements to. And that's a good example of improving navigation, flood control, but also the environment as well too. And so that's been good to see that project progress like it has, and we're definitely supportive of that and other ways that we can look to improve other areas up and down the Mississippi as well too.
That's been, I was involved in that in the beginning. I was, when I was a member of the park board, and I was very excited that we were able to we made a couple presentations to the Corps, and went up to Dubuque, I think, and did some of those meetings and stuff. And again, I think that's something that not only just for the wildlife, but also anything that can be done to kind of help the lower bay. And again, I know the upper bay is the focus, but still anything that can slow down the lower bay area, the filling in, and make that bay more navigable, make it easier for the boats to get in and out. I think anything we can do and work together is a bonus. And again, I know that a lot of times we want to try to keep those projects separate because people start talking about the riverfront in Quincy, but that's really not part of this. We're talking about the upper bay there and everything that comes with it. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about just the progress on the locks and dams. Is it a case now where one of those things where the technology advances a little faster and we still need to get caught up, or has the technology really kind of basically stayed the same for locks and dams?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple things. I guess first of all, just the size of our what we're trying to, the barges,
right.
and that's, we're dealing with more. We've got more grain that we're trying to haul. So our technology on the farm has increased, our production has increased, but we haven't upgraded our system to get that, to our markets. And we're definitely a world market. We have, we had a tour of ADM as part of our meeting. It was really interesting, and it was a great tour. And I think it was just good to see there, a local company that is relying on the river and the levee that's there. How that works hand in hand, and how that they wouldn't be doing what they're doing and the investment that they're making without that river system. And so I think part of it is just getting those locks bigger to be able to accommodate for that. But yeah, then there is some technology that goes along with anything else that just can make improvements on the river levels, tracking them better, and trying to get a little better idea what's coming ahead of time, and helping those locks be more efficient. But really we need infrastructure right now. We just need to physically make those from 600 feet to 1,200 feet to really be able to accommodate that and make that a lot more efficient for us to transport goods up and down the river.
And another part when it comes to infrastructure, you mentioned ADM and the South Quincy Drainage District. Also another part of that is the Mid-America Port Authority that comes in and trying to get that facility kind of moving along. Are we seeing more progress with that?
Yes, I think so. We talked about that some too, and I think that's that whole idea that kind of ties in with that Corn Belt aspect, and what a lot of work that Bob Sinkler has done in getting that group together and looking for funding and ways to kind of make sure we're counting all the tonnages going up and down, and for this port specifically, and so yeah, I think there's definitely progress being made there. There's, again, just getting all the parties involved to work together and say, hey, what can we do to continue to improve navigation. And we also stopped by and looked at the newly renovated Quincy barge dock, and how that was being utilized, and ADM said they're utilizing that some, and obviously a lot of other folks, Huber and Prince, and a lot of our other industries are utilizing that. And again, that's benefiting them, and that's benefiting the region, and employment, and all those things work together. And so I think it's one of those things we just need to kind of keep the focus on that, reminding our legislators that, hey, this is important, we can't forget about this. It's easy to just say, well, it's not flooding now, so we don't have to worry about it. But like you said, we're just a few rains away from that next time, and we saw high water this year, and we're seeing a lot of extremes. We saw really low levels last fall in the river, and we saw a high river this spring, and now we're back down to and then 7 weeks now we're in a low river again. So we're seeing a lot of extreme weather that we have to deal with, but we gotta make sure that our folks know that this is very important to us, and we're going to keep fighting for it.
I mean, in the Corn Belt ports, it's not just it's sort of a system of ports we have going now, right?
Yes, correct. There's four of them.
Network, I guess.
A network, yes, a good way to say. Yeah, there's four of them that basically from Minnesota here down to St. Louis that have come together and working towards that. And so yeah, it's kind of a way to kind of work together for those folks to see the investments that's being made, and try to capture. Show the extent. When you put all that together, it's a fairly large port for the U.S. that you wouldn't think would be in the middle of the country. You'd think on the coast, but you put all that together, and that becomes a very significant port, and thus kind of say, hey, we need to make sure we're getting funding for that, just like other places, because it is so important, and we're handling so many tonnage of materials, you know, up and down the river.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the other thing that people need to always remember is the more we can put on the river, the less we have to put on the roads and wear the wear and tear on our highways.
You talk about being environmentally friendly, you know, as far as emissions, you know, we're much more environmentally friendly putting up and down the river, like you said, and then the wear and tear on the roads and safety and, you know, public safety, all those things tie into it. That there's a lot of
there's
benefits.
always going to be room for a truck, because you still got to get the stuff from the farm to the elevator to the terminal and all that. But it can all work together.
Yes, we're never going to replace trucks, but like I said, it's definitely a system, and it's a big part of that, trying to move, you know, the products that we do. We're very fortunate to have that. The Mississippi River this close. Sometimes we take that for granted. It is so close. You know, that's just one of those things. But again, it's I think when we look at the importance of that and what we're trying to do long term, right? Because we want this to continue to be a viable resource for us and our future generations, and you know, we need to make sure we're making some investments for that to continue.
Anytime you talk about taking the river for granted, anytime I go to visit friends or relatives in any part of the country, we go somewhere by some other river or something, I'm like, that's not a river.
Yeah,
I live by the biggest river in the country. It's a river.
Yeah.
This is a creek.
It's
kind of always they get a little. They always get tired of me saying that, but
it's true. And if you look worldwide, especially for agriculture, you know, there's only so many regions that have that ability to be able to ship what we can, and so it's you know, we have the production, thankfully, and we've been blessed with that, but you know, we've got the infrastructure, and you know, that really helps us be, you know, one of the world leaders in agriculture, and we wouldn't have that if it wasn't for that Mississippi River.
Well, Tim, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right. I'm Bob Goff for Muddy River News. Have a great week.